How is the 1823 Monroe Doctrine different from Trump's Donroe Doctrine? God, that's a stupid title. Professor Poutine here, time for Mysteries Histories. In 1823, President Monroe passes the Monroe Doctrine, which is in response to a number of former Portuguese and Spanish colonies breaking away and becoming independent from their former colonial masters. And what the Monroe Doctrine essentially said was four things. Number one, the Europeans should not create any more new colonies in the Western Hemisphere. Number two, the Americans would not interfere in European affairs in the other hemispheres or in already existing colonies. Number three, the Americans would recognize the colonial powers' right to maintain their colonies. They just couldn't interfere with them anymore. And number four, if the Europeans did intervene militarily for whatever reason in the Western Hemisphere, the United States would view that as, quote, a direct threat. It's essentially an isolationist doctrine. It really doesn't have any teeth. That changes in 1904 when Teddy Roosevelt adds the Roosevelt Corollary to the Monroe Doctrine. And this is in response to a number of economic crises that were happening at the start of the 20th century in Latin America, and in particular, ironically, Venezuela, where the Europeans were rumbling about now getting involved in order to collect on massive debts that were owed to them. And what Roosevelt's Corollary said was, if there is a need to intervene in the Western Hemisphere for a rebellion, economic collapse, whatever, the Americans would take the role of policemen of the Western Hemisphere on, which would then preclude the Europeans from having to get involved in the Western Hemisphere. The Americans would deal with it, maintain the status quo. Europeans stay out, we'll take care of this. So it added a military intervention or economic intervention in the need to, cut off the Europeans from getting involved. That policy, by the way, ended in 1933 with FDR's good neighbor policy. So, what is the Trump Corollary to the Roosevelt Corollary to the Monroe Doctrine? The Trump Corollary, according to Hegseth and Stephen Miller, is that the United States has the complete, untrammeled, unilateral right to intervene economically, politically, or militarily in any country in the Western Hemisphere because the Western Hemisphere is, quote unquote, ours. Now, although that really only exists in the minds of Stephen Miller and Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump, something really important to note is that the Monroe Doctrine was a legal doctrine because it was passed by the U.S. Congress. The Roosevelt Corollary is a legal doctrine because it is passed by the U.S. Congress. Stephen Miller can say all he wants. Canada's ours! It's not. Nor is Greenland, nor is Colombia, nor is Cuba. And if they really want to F around and find out, just try going into a NATO country, and you'll see just how quickly illegality rebounds back onto you. Consider yourself updated.